Hello, my name is Andre Naranjo. Today I'll be talking about Leonardo da Vinci and his religious artwork. I will also be describing the styles of his paintings and why they're religious. Now for a little bit of background information on Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci was born on April 15th, 1452. Leonardo spent his first 12 years in the Tucson countryside before entering the most reputed artistic workshop of Florence. There he blossomed as one of the most promising painters of his time and promptly applied his skills to explore and question the world through science and invention. Leonardo was also self-fashioned. He received only a basic education and grew up around peasants and artisans. But from the 1480s onward, he transformed himself into a court artist and became a familiar of kings and rulers. Leonardo's most famous art pieces include the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, and the Vitruvian Man. The Renaissance was the art period that Da Vinci made his art in. The Renaissance time period was from the 14th century and went all the way down to the 17th century, and was known as the Rebirth period. The Renaissance changed European art forever, and had artists making paintings that were religious based and that were also based on everyday lives. A lot of Da Vinci's art pieces involve religion, religious events, and as well as normal everyday things that a person would do if they lived during the Renaissance period, as well as the current fashion for that time period. Here we see one of Da Vinci's famous paintings, The Last Supper. This painting was created between 1494 and 1498. This painting created by Da Vinci is meant to depict the final meal that Jesus had with his apostles before he was crucified. The final meal took place in Jerusalem, and during this final meal, Jesus tells his apostles how they must go along and pass on the Eucharist, which is when Jesus uses wine and bread to symbolize his blood and his body. There are a total of 13 people in this painting. The man directly in the center of the painting is Jesus Christ. There are 6 men to his right. Their names in order from closest to Jesus in the center of the painting are Thomas, James, Major, Philip, Matthew, Thaddeus, and Simon. There are also 6 men to the left of Jesus. Their names in order from right to left are John, Judas, Peter, Andrew, James Minor, and Bartholomew. Judas is a famous saint of Jesus who would go on to betray him and become the devil. In this painting, Leonardo da Vinci centers Jesus and makes him the focal point. You could also see the faces of his apostles. Each and every one has a different facial feature and has different colored clothes. The painting does focus on a couple light tones, but it also has a bunch of dark tones in the background. You can see the back wall is darkened, but there's also a light background behind it, which it looks like mountains. The clothes of the apostles are mostly light. You'll see shades of blue, a lot of shades of orange, and some other pink shades. So now if we focus again on the facial features of the men who are Jesus' apostles, you'll notice a lot of scared looking faces. Everyone is very horrified that Jesus is going to be crucified, but he's the only one who has a facial feature that looks unharmed. So now if you pay attention to the roof of the painting, you'll notice a lot of symmetry. Da Vinci uses a lot of squares and rectangles to create a roof that looks very symmetrical. The rectangles on the sides of the walls are also very symmetrical. You'll see they look very even and continue on a very straight pattern. Here is another famous painting created by Leonardo da Vinci. This religious painting is called the Salvator Mundi, which in Latin means the Savior of the world. This painting is meant to depict Jesus Christ and how Leonardo da Vinci thought he'd look like. Christ has his right hand up in a way that is meant to give blessings. And if you notice, you can see something that looks like a clear ball in his left hand. That ball is called the Globus Cruciger. It contains a cross on it and is a Christian symbol of authority. If you pay attention to the color scheme in this painting, you'll notice a black shade that is used as the background. You'll also notice Jesus' blue and brown colored suit. The skin of Jesus is made in a light tone compared to the rest of the painting. Jesus' hair is also created in a dark brown tone. The facial feature that Leonardo da Vinci gave Jesus was a bit more serious, and he looks very affirmative. If you look straight into his eyes, he looks like he plays no games. This very realistic painting of Jesus created by Da Vinci is the final piece of artwork that I will be discussing today. This religious artwork was very important because it took time during the Renaissance period, which was a time when artwork was mostly based on religion and everyday lives. We also got to see how Leonardo da Vinci depicted Jesus and how realistic his artwork was. We also got to see how Jesus was the main centerpiece for most of his religious artwork. We also got to see how realistic Da Vinci tried to make his paintings by giving his characters real facial features and realistic looking clothes, as well as adding colors that made the backgrounds look very realistic and brought life to the painting. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.